Good morning. First, let me thank everyone for the answers that you've given so far on the discussion about the purpose of college sports. For the first time in a long time, I've gotten a series of very thoughtful, well expressed answers that seem to be a little bit more expansive, a little bit more uh, well developed, and to be honest with you, a word sane than in the past. And not as much emphasis as on what goes on the field, what we think about it as a sporting event, but a little bit more about the purpose and the meaning and what it's all about. And in many cases, I think now you can see some of from those answers, you can see some contrast between what we see in the business side at the big picture, the big end of it, the top end of D1, and the great majority of what goes on in college sport, which is the schools below that. After those top 60, what happens to the next 1,000? This is what the reality is. So, having done all that prep work and gone through a fairly substantial amount of material that was provided to you, it is time for the next step. And I would like to explain that to everyone so that you get a good start on it, and will probably take about a week and a half to do this. Okay, so I will post at the end of this. I will sit down with my calendar, post the end date, but it won't be before 10 to 12 days out. And what we have in Unit 4 is the set of fictitious data that I created for you from a fictitious institution, Middle Pennsyltucky State. We also have directed you to the EADA reports, the Equity and Data Analysis in Sports reports from the Department of Education. And in those, you can get a wealth of information about any school that you really, just about any school that you need to, and particularly about their budget and their demographics and what they do. And so, what I'm going to ask you to do is, and I'll lay it out in a rubric, I'm going to ask you now to take Middle Pennsyltucky State and analyze it and create a budget for it. And here's the scenario. And it's not going to be a real detailed budget, it's going to be a higher level, upper tier numbers type of budget. And I'll explain that in a moment too. Your assignment essentially is that you are the athletic director at Middle Pennsyltucky, and you see that you have a fairly substantial loss in the last set of reports, the last set of numbers. And your administration, your board of trustees, however you are governed, everything, has come to you and said, close that gap. You gotta close that gap. We don't care how you do it. Whether revenues come up, expenses go down, some of each, whatever, you got to close that gap. We cannot lose that much money continually and accomplish our purpose as a university. And I would like you to start with what would your first year of moves be to close that gap. Produce a plan. All right? I'll give you maybe a little bit of a template and a little bit of some ideas. But the whole idea is to work on a coherent scheme, if you will, of using what you've learned so far to develop a plan. So, Middle Pennsyltucky State, I'm going to confess, is based on Middle Tennessee. Okay, if you want to go to the EADA reports and find something relatively close, Middle Tennessee. All right? But this should be enough to get you started on it. Start thinking about, look at the numbers you have in the fictitious case. You need to close that gap. What are you going to do? Start with these instructions and look for more to come. Okay? Thank you.